Go ahead.
We live in a digital age where TikTok conspiracies abound. Bill Gates and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are popular targets. Maybe because of this connection right here. We don't know he was on the flight, but we don't know what happened on the island, so I'm not even going to touch it. But I was thinking maybe I could show the connection between farmland, appeal products, vaccines, and this, which is the Iowa vote to illegalize vaccines and food. But I was just probably reaching with some of the stuff that I had, so I thought about showing this connection between these bioengineered mosquito patents that Microsoft has and this toxic mosquito aerial release system. But I thought, who cares about that? We have nukes already that just sit on the shelves. Another weapon is just going to probably sit there. So instead of talking about that, I remembered this, which as you can see is a patent for crypto mining. But what really makes this juicy is that it's issued during the peak of COVID in March 26, 2020. And its patent number is 2020-06-06-06. And it may or may not have a sensor that goes under the skin. And it may or may not have an enzyme called luciferase to track vaccine status. Luciferase is the scientific term for bioluminescence found in fireflies and deep-sea creatures. Then I realized that all these topics are just pieces to a puzzle, and I really kind of want to zoom out, kind of look at the big picture. And so I decided to talk about this controversial document known as Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. I first learned about this document through William Cooper's book, Behold the Pale Horse, published in 1991. He prefaced the document, the Illuminati's declaration of war upon the people of America. Milton William Cooper was a former U.S. naval intelligence worker who claimed in his author notes to have read top secret documents which explained that silent weapons for quiet wars is the doctrine adopted by the policy committee of the Bilderberg Group during its first known meeting in 1954. A copy found in 1969 was in possession of naval intelligence, end quote. Then again, the author goes on to claim that a copy was found on July 7, 1986, in an IBM copier that had been purchased at a surplus sale. Kind of remember seeing a copy of a national newspaper that was covering the story back in '86, and it being sensationalized for about a week or so, but then I remember it was declared a hoax. But I couldn't find anything when I tried to do a quick search online, so can't confirm that story. But either way, Bill Cooper printed in his book back in 1991. So let's pretend for a minute that this former naval intelligence officer actually did have first-hand knowledge about naval intelligence finding this document back in 1969. What does it mean? Well, this manual outlines a plot to subvert and subjugate the masses through economic social engineering. The document states that energy is recognized as the key to all activity on Earth. Natural science is the study of sources and control of natural energy, and social science, theoretically expressed as economics, is the study of the sources and control of social energy. Both are bookkeeping systems based on mathematics. Mathematics, therefore, is the primary energy science. And the bookkeeper can be king if the public can be kept ignorant of the methodology of the bookkeeping, end quote. And then it goes on to quote Mayer Amschel Rothschild, 1743 to 1812, when he said, "Give me control over a nation's currency, and I care not who makes the laws." And then the book, it's 20 pages long, goes on, scientific breakdown of all the different kinds of energy systems. They basically said if we could control the flow of an electrical current with science, then we can take those same principles and apply them to both the economic and social energy systems that we want to control. But they really broke it down to its core when the document claimed that Mr. Rothschild had discovered that currency or deposit loan accounts had the required appearance of power that could be used to induce people into surrendering their real wealth in exchange for a promise of greater wealth instead of real compensation. They would be put up real collateral in exchange for a loan of promissory notes. Mr. Rothschild found that he could issue more notes than he had backing for, so long as he had someone's stock of gold as a persuader to show to his customers. Mr. Rothschild loaned his promissory notes to individuals and to governments. These would create overconfidence that then he would create money scarce, tighten control on the system, and collect the collateral through the obligation of contracts. These pressures could be used to ignite a war. Then he would control the availability of currency to determine who would win the war. That government, which agreed to give him control of its economic system, got his support, end of quote. Why is this interesting? Because the world back in 1954, when this document was supposedly written, was going through something similar. America had implemented a post-war order known as the Bretton Woods system, which relied heavily on the fixed exchange rates between countries. During this time, though, new gold was scarce and the system was flooding with inflated dollar bills. The underlying problem was that people were buying gold from America for a fixed rate and selling it to Europe for a higher price somehow, which messed with the stability of the market and was super shady but still allowed. Basically, if you understand the loopholes, you can make money. Tale as old as time. Bretton Woods system finally crashed in the 70s after Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard in 71. But America was all set up to adopt a new system which saw the Federal Reserve flood the world with even more dollar bills, making the dollar the most widely used currency among other countries when buying or selling oil. Well, honestly, this Bretton Woods system was misused to the point where President John F. Kennedy made these remarks in his speech titled, "The President and the Press." "For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, but not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed." To his credit, JFK tried to fight the system by issuing a few executive orders back in 1963. Here's one right here where he's trying to do an audit on the House of Representatives, another one, House of Representatives. We did that one, but one was supposed to be a Council of Foreign Affairs. But sadly, he was assassinated just a few short months after issuing these orders. According to Andrew Mueller, in his article titled "The Deep State and the Kennedy Assassination," stated that the speech, the President and the Press, most certainly would have hit home with the secret society operating most closely to him with the federal apparatus, the Central Intelligence Agency. He then goes on to list a bunch of reasons that the president could have gotten assassinated for, but the speech always stuck out to me the most. Anyway, the document Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars does a good job of describing what happened in the past. But what about the rest of the plan? It's easy to describe what happened before 1991, when this document first hit mass publication. But what about the plan for when the Federal Reserve was a couple decades into printing the debt-based currency? Well, the key to that is data, and the magic phrase is computing power. I'm talking barcodes, credit cards, bank accounts, economic shock testing, personal paper trails, social media platforms, advertisement IDs. Basically, the document says that the more data, the better, because their goal is to keep us consuming until the current model destroys America. I mean, just look at the wealth distribution from the 50s to 70s. The wealthy, middle class, and poor all rose relatively at the same rate. Then in the 70s hit, and boom, middle class and poor hit the wall, and the wealthy started to skyrocket. I had a point for that, but I didn't put it in there. So, in conclusion, if Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars talks about a plot to destroy America, then the Great Reset is about what will be happening during and after the fall of America. The Great Reset is written by Klaus Schwab, head of WEF, and then the WEF has many powerful members from around the world. Bill Gates is part of it, the WHO are connected with it. But basically, the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars document shows that smart people like to think about ruling the world. There are currently 33 international organizations located in Geneva, Switzerland. Geneva, Switzerland is the place where Antipas fell, if you're into religious conspiracies, and it's also the home to CERN. And it's also a dirty money safe haven that was never touched during either of the world wars. Call to action. We've all heard at least one conspiracy theory that piqued our interest. Don't be afraid to investigate the claims of others and try to separate fact from fiction. Have fun realizing that the world is a lot weirder than you think. Remember those passports I mentioned in the beginning? Well, they have a connection to these smart cities that are supposed to be coming online in 2030. If you want to learn more about that, you can Google NEOM or anything 2030 Saudi Arabia, and you'll see some pretty cool stuff. With that, I'd like to thank you for listening.